What is up, everybody? Welcome into this Wednesday episode of Flippin Bats, and we got one of the best players in the league today, one of the most exciting players in baseball, a guy that I have gotten to know pretty well over the last couple of years, and I am so pumped for this episode. Starting center fielder, two-time All-Star already for the Seattle Mariners, Julio Rodríguez. We're going to talk all about the Mariners' turnaround this year, his turnaround at the plate, and how locked in he was for 17 hits over the span of 4 games, winning the Rookie of the Year, going back home to a literal parade. This one's going to be awesome. I love this guy. He's one of the most exciting players in baseball and becoming one of the faces of this game, and I'm super excited to have him on Flippin' Bats. So without further ado, let's welcome in now center fielder for the Seattle Mariners, Julio Rodríguez.
5 ball onto the track, at the wall, it's gone! Home run!
Turns on a ball, deep right field, and gone!
What a game, what a moment. All right, and I'm pumped to welcome him in now, my man, Julio Rodríguez. Julio, how you doing, man?
Really good, really good. You know, having fun out here, really fun stretch ahead, and definitely excited to be here too.
I want to start with the stretch that you guys just had. It was the best Mariners stretch and the best 50-game stretch since 2003. What changed for the team? Not that you were a bad team. It was just a pretty good team to a great team, and put yourself in a great position for the playoffs.
I just felt like we were competing, you know, throughout the whole year, but I felt we finally were able to like put everything together and do what we were capable of, basically. You know, like everybody started hitting, pitching well, like we should have been doing it, and I feel like everything, just all the things from the team just kind of started clicking at the right time. So I feel like that's what we were able to put that kind of run, and we're definitely looking forward to keep building onto it in this last stretch of the season too.
Did the vibes change in the locker room from when you guys were around a 500 team to now? Like, how has the vibes changed over this stretch?
Honestly, not. You know, like honestly, I feel like we were the same team like since the beginning of the year. The whole vibe. You know, I feel like we've been playing together since last year, so I feel like it was the same thing. It just kind of on the field that things started to click, and I feel like all the work that we were putting on behind the scenes and doing all that, I feel like just started to click in that and at the right moment for everybody.
You can really point to like the trade deadline from that day. Like, there really hasn't been many teams in baseball better than you guys. And I know last year in your first full season, you got into the postseason. What's the goal this year, Julio?
I mean, definitely getting back in there, because that's when the fun begins. You know, that's the best baseball that I've ever experienced in my life, and I feel like I'm definitely excited and pumped to be able to go back there again. You know.
Yeah. I want to, you personally, I got to ask about this, because you had a stretch, 17 hits in 4 games. Julio, I hardly got 17 hits in a month when I was playing professionally. You got 17 in 4 games. How locked in at the plate were you during that?
Man, it was definitely a really fun stretch. It felt like all the things were clicking right. It felt every single at bat I was under control, what I wanted to do. I was bringing the right plan to the play every time, and that's how it felt. Honestly, I just felt like every time I would step on the play, I was in control of what I wanted to do, and that right plan at the time, and it felt really good.
How did you make your season go from a good season to great? I mean, it seemed like something clicked, and then all of a sudden Julio Rodríguez was back to being Julio, which is an MVP caliber player. Did something like click for you with your swing or mentally, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, he's one of the best players in baseball right now?
I just felt like it was just kind of more mentally, you know, like trusting him more, and I know that there was a lot of things going on. There was a lot of ups and downs at the beginning of the year, but just kind of like trusting. At the end of the day, I'm me. You know, like I've put out the work. I've done a lot of things to kind of be in the spot that I am here. I have a lot of people supporting me to be here. So I feel like just trusting all that, and regardless of what happened, just kind of like put everything that happens in the bag and just kind of keep on moving forward. And I feel like that's what like helped me separate all that and just having the right people around me definitely contribute a lot.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of stigma, at least from the past, decades, of the home run derby doesn't help your swing, it hurts it. I'm here to say I think it was the home run derby that helped your swing. I mean, you went off, and now look what's happening.
I mean, definitely, I'm a believer that the home run derby doesn't hurt your swing at all. Like, it's something really fun event, really positive event, and I feel like whoever wants to do it, I recommend you guys to do it. It's a really fun, a new experience, and I definitely, you guys are not gonna regret to do it. And it was a fun event. I definitely believe that it doesn't hurt your swing at all.
If I were to tell you before you went up there for your first round that you were going to hit 41 homers, what would you have said?
I don't know, maybe.
What was your favorite part? You have the All-Star game up there, your home stadium, your home field, home crowd. What do you think your favorite part of that whole All-Star game experience was this year?
Definitely that it was in Seattle. I feel like having everybody on the stands, kind of like standing up and like joining that event, especially the home run derby. Having my grandpa for the first time on the stage and be able to witness that in person, I feel like that was probably the coolest thing among all. Having him out there for the first time visiting the States, that was definitely separated from me, and it was really cool. And he was definitely pumped. I was a little scared, my man, a little old, but definitely pumped to have him out there.
Yeah, that's the last time I saw you was up there at the so that night of the Tops event. You were there, King Griffey Jr. was there, and I talked to King Griffey Jr. for a little bit about you. And I haven't heard a player, you can say of his caliber, but a player of his caliber talk about somebody the way he talks about you in a long time. And obviously the similarities, the center fielder of the Seattle Mariners for so long, and now that's your position. And just to hear him talk about you was really cool. And I just wonder, like, what is your relationship like with King Griffey Jr.?
I mean, it was really cool. He's always open to talk about everything, but it's really cool, to having him around. And I know a lot of people like always trying to compare us and say, oh, who's going to be better, who's going to be that. But I feel like everybody, had their own time, and I'm really grateful that I have somebody like him in my corner to kind of like mentor me and kind of like tell me like the things that I should expect like along the way. Definitely really cool having his help, and he was definitely one of the greatest players to ever play this game. And having his advice is definitely pretty cool.
Second All-Star game, you were N1 in your first year in the big leagues as well. You ended up winning Rookie of the Year that year. And I got to ask, because I remember when you won Rookie of the Year, somebody asked you like what you were expecting when you went back home, and you were like, a parade. And I feel like people were like, nah, I mean, come on, a parade. You got a literal parade when you went back home. Walk me through that day and what you were expecting and what ended up happening.
I mean, that was probably one of the coolest things I ever experienced, so far. And whenever I landed, there was like definitely my family and close friends at the airport and all that. And I didn't know what to expect because they didn't show me anything. They didn't tell me like to go, like anything. So we got off from the airport of Santiago, and we started like going down. And as we creeping closer to like the border, we start seeing like more people outside on the streets. We start seeing more cars and like people kind of like expecting me to like kind of go down because there is like just a few roads kind of going down to my hometown. But when I was like getting like closer to my hometown, I started to see all the people outside, all the cars, all the kids, and just like all the people that I grew up with. That there's like this little corner that you gotta turn to go to Loma de Cabrera, and just to see how many people were out there. It was like my whole hometown. It was unbelievable. My whole hometown was not even in my hometown. Like it was outside of my hometown waiting for me. And whenever we got there, it was like if it was some artists performing out there. There was some artists. There was Fernando Villalona performing and this other group over there. And that was like one of the coolest experience. Just to kind of see all the people that I grew up with, all the kids that are like the next generation, basically like there, just kind of experiencing that with me. It was unbelievable. Having my family and everybody, it was definitely really cool, man. I didn't expect that it was gonna be so big like that, but it was definitely was a really, really cool parade.
Next thing you know, you're hanging out of the sunroof of an SUV, just waving to everybody. You're a hero down there, man. It's really cool.
Might as well enjoy it, right?
Yeah, it's really cool, man. What was it like for you? You mentioned your hometown, Loma de Cabrera, with there's 20,000 people there. Small town, small area. What's it like growing up, loving baseball, wanting to play baseball? What was it like for you growing up playing baseball there?
I mean, growing up, it was definitely. To be honest, I didn't think that I was going to be here talking about all the things that we're talking about right now. Honestly, like I just love the game. My dad introduced me to the game, and I remember growing up, I would just play to enjoy the game. I left and learned to play multiple positions and just enjoying it with my friends. I used to play on the streets. I used to play on the school. I used to play on the baseball field after practice.
Yeah.
On the off days, playing video games, baseball. So like it was everything baseball for me growing up, and like I feel like that's our culture in the DR, and I feel like I was able to have a really cool experience growing up, and I definitely don't regret a bit about anything I did when I was a kid.
That's awesome, man. Well, now you're in the big leagues killing it. I got a couple fun questions for you to finish up. The first, I got to ask about the home run robbery the other day. Look, that robbery, I feel like I'm pretty good at knowing when guys catch the ball. I had no idea. Tatís said after he knows you really well and he had a feeling you called it. The stadium didn't know. The announcers didn't know. Was this planned if you caught the ball had you like planned this out in your head? I want to do this at some point and trick everybody.
It kind of came out like that. Honestly, it's definitely a really good friend, really good friend of mine. And like as soon as I jumped, I was like in my head, I was like, I got him. And like here's your boy. Like you always have to like have a little fun with your boy. And as soon as I caught him, I started like walking in. I started looking at him and all that. And I was like, I saw him that he wasn't slowing down, but the umpire didn't call the out yet. So I just kept walking. I was like, oh, you're on short too, so I have a little gift for you here. That's kind of what was going through my mind, but it definitely came out really cool.
You know how pissed you're going to be if you hit a ball to right field and Tatís jumps up and you think you hit a homer and you're literally rounding second base and then you find out he catches it.
I just want to think, that's karma.
All right, Julio, who is the toughest pitcher that you've had to face in your career?
Oh, my, the toughest pitcher. Oh, there's some tough guys, like your brother, whenever I first come up, he was blowing some fastball by me. Ohtani's a really tough guy, too. Who else? Man, there is so many tough guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good pitching in the MLB. Trust me about that.
I mean, Justin and Ohtani are pretty good answers, though. I know you got Justin at least one. I think you got him a couple times. I've seen some of those homers. They were absolute bombs. Once you got him pretty good.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to keep doing that.
All right, next. Is there a team that you like playing the most?
I feel like playing against everybody, especially whenever there is like really, really good teams. Let's say in our division, we have the Houston Astros. I feel like that's a really good team that I like to play against because there is always some good battles. There is always that competitive game. And I feel like everybody that brings a competitive game like that, I definitely love to play because that's what I find joy. That's in that competition, in that grind, and I feel like everybody that brings a good competition is definitely fun to play against.
By the way, when whatever happened out on the field the other day, you went out, obviously your boys with Framber. What were you whispering? It looked like you were whispering in his ear or something as you were like carrying him away from the battle up there.
No, I just kind of, I feel like at the end of the day, we're playing baseball, like we want to leave it at that. And I feel like that's what I was talking about,
Yeah.
Let's just live it out baseball. Just keep a good competitive game.
Yeah. Julio, last one for you. You mentioned when you were a kid playing back home, you never imagined being here. now you're here. One of my favorite players in baseball to watch, and a guy that I've gotten to know, which has been awesome. And now you are here. And as one of the best players, the question for you is, when Julio Rodríguez's career is over, he will be remembered as what?
I feel like I want to be remembered as a competitor that love to win, that love to inspire people to chase their dreams, and he never give up. You know, there is a lot of ups and downs that we face in this game, a tough time that we face in this game as human beings that we are. But I feel like I want to be remembered as somebody that didn't give up. You know, that was keep on moving forward, and that definitely motivated a lot of kids, a lot of other people that, regardless of what they did, what are they doing right now, that motivate them to chase their dream and like basically maximize it to the fullest extent that they could possibly do it. And I feel like that's what I wanted to be remembered as.
Julio, you're the man. Thank you so much for joining me, buddy. Big fan of yours, as you know, and thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you so much, my man. I hope I see you soon again.
Of course. Hopefully see you in October in a few weeks.
Let's make it happen.
All right, buddy. Good luck the rest of the way. All right, thanks again so much to Julio Rodríguez for joining me. An awesome conversation with, one of the best players in the league, but I also believe one of the best guys in the league as well, and just a perfect face for the game of baseball. And to be able to talk to him about this season for the Mariners and himself, and really you could see his face light up. If you were watching, you could see his face light up when we started talking about going back home after winning the Rookie of the Year and the literal parade they threw for him. Just so cool to see that, and so cool to hear that story. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Certainly one of my favorite players to watch in the game of baseball, and really awesome to have him on the show. So thank you all for listening. And if you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, follow to Flippin Bats wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. We're also on all social media, including YouTube, where you can watch every single thing we do at Flippin Bats Pod for all of them. But that does it for this Wednesday episode. Thank you all for listening, and until tomorrow, my friends, peace.